Our journalist Brian King gives us more information on the importance of therapy and guidance to children and teenagers and the impact it has on their general mental well-being. Let's have a look.
In Kenya, children face many challenges when they're growing up, physically, emotionally, and psychologically. This is why they need therapy to cope with the daily challenges of their lives.
Therapy, just like the way you go to the hospital when you're sick, your tummy is sick, or when your arm is hurting, or your back is hurting, then you get some pills, or you get some physiotherapy. So therapy is a form of treatment, just like any other, but this one is where your emotions are in some form of distress, or your thoughts are distressful.
Yes, I feel like I get the necessary guidance and therapy, mostly when I'm in school. Because you see, when we're in school, there are clubs like, okay, personally my school started a club on helping people cope with stress and bullying. They banned bullying, but it was still there. And there was a case in which my friend nearly committed suicide because of bullying. So that was the main cause for starting that club. And while you're in school, you get to talk to different people. The teachers are a bit trained on how to guide the child through this stage. I'd say stage they're going through. Let's say it's depression. Let's say it's stress. Just stress. You know, you can have stress exams, like stress because of exams. Not necessarily a big thing.
Therapy is a known remedy to this that helps children and teenagers cope with the day-to-day challenges of their lives, and is very common in the western parts of the world, but not here in Africa.
Everyone needs therapy. And I feel like children, especially children who've gone through traumatic experiences, ought to undergo therapy. Also, children who have developmental issues, you know, the children born with things like autism, they have to undergo some form of cognitive behavioral therapy for them to at least get to a place where they can catch up with other children. So children, especially those who have developmental issues, neurodevelopmental issues, have to undergo therapy. Also, children who've gone through traumatic experiences have to undergo therapy. Sometimes you confuse therapy and guidance and counseling. Those are two different things. You don't have to have an issue for you to go for guidance, you know, but therapy, you have to have had an issue with your mental health. And of course, if there are any symptoms of dysfunctional behavior, then parents ought to take their children for therapy.
Well, I'd say you require guidance and therapy, mostly, all the time, basically, because you don't know. There's events or there's stages in life where you just can't handle such situations that are really emotional, okay, that are affecting your emotional state. You know, you can be sad any moment, and that's one of a mental health disorder. You be happy at this time, like you're really, really happy, and then the next minute you're really sad. So yeah, all the time.
Mental health is a very important aspect of our lives. We have what we call the wellness wheel, and it entails our physical health, our mental health, our spiritual health, our emotional health, our social interactions, how we interact with people. That is what informs how healthy we are as people, how functional we are as people. So if one part, and they're interdependent, if one part of that wheel is not functioning properly, then every other part will be affected. So if your mental health is not okay, of course, your physical health will not be okay, which means if my thoughts are intrusive, if my emotions are not okay, I will not be able to maybe exercise, then that will be a liability in terms of my physical health, and it will in turn somehow affect my physical health, and then it will affect how I interact with people. My social life will be in jeopardy, you understand? So mental health, just like any other aspect of your health, is quite important, and I think it's very important that parents realize this, teachers realize this, organizations, institutions realize this, because when we put the mental health of each individual forward, then we also elevate the other parts of their lives and the community as a whole. I wouldn't say adults have a better grasp of their emotions as children, because the way you inform how you will respond to issues as an adult is going to come from how you responded to issues, or how your issues were treated when you responded to them as a child. For example, when as a child you grew up and you were neglected, chances are as you grow up you will develop trust issues. You won't be able to get along with people and trust them easily, and you'll be very avoidant. We have what we call the avoidant attachment style. So you'll be around people but you don't want to create bonds with them, you don't want to be with them because as a child you were neglected, or your parents were there and they were not there. Sometimes they're there. So you have the anxious attachment practice, whereby you want to get to people but you're not sure whenever they leave, so you're very anxious about their presence. So if at all you did not grow up with a secure childhood, chances are the way you communicate, the way you live will be affected even as an adult. So you'll get people who are not expressive with their emotions because as children they're not able to express them and express them in a healthy way. They were told shut up, they were told you don't know what you're saying, they were told listen, they were told you're a boy, boys don't cry. So you grow up people with harboring intense anger, intense bitterness, and then they end up exploding, they end up doing very harmful things. And that is why it's very crucial, because children are like sponges. They absorb a lot of things because that's when the brains are developing at a very, very fast rate. So if you get to a point where you are impeding the child's ability to grow, to think, to have critical minds, that's why we talk about cognition, then chances are even as adults they won't be as helpful, or they wouldn't have grown as because we have the chronological age. So if they have grown their chronological age, they've grown to say 20 or 30, they've grown chronologically, but mentally they have not grown. They're still 6 years old, mentally speaking. Emotionally speaking, they're 8 years old because they were not given that chance, that ability to grow. So that is why it's very crucial for children to be given a safe space to be expressive and a safe space to explore who they are, their identities.
Well, you've heard it, the impacts and importance of therapy to children. Reporting from Total News Insights, I am Brian King.